Hail Hydra. No, what? Just kidding. We need a cool thing like that. Hail S.H.I.E.L.D. It's not the same. It doesn't seem right. Wield S.H.I.E.L.D.
Director Coulson.
Thank you. It never gets old.
How did that hit you when you read that in the script, that that's where you were headed?
I mean, I read it about 5 days before we shot that. The end of the last half of the last third of the season after the Captain America crossover was intense. You know, we were finding out people we'd been working with every day were traitors. You know, and Bill Paxton, my new buddy. Oh no, he's the ultimate evil. Every episode, every script we got just kind of was more of a mind blower. But then to kind of, honestly, just every step of the way with this guy, from, you know, my neighbor down the street, Jon Favreau, has a couple of lines in Iron Man, and he knows I'm a fan, to kind of Joss Whedon pulling me into a room here right before the Thor panel 5 or 6 years ago, or 4 years ago, saying, listen, you have a big part in the Avengers. Coulson's got a big part in the Avengers. Any one of those moments could have killed me, but the scene I read where Nick Fury explains that the reason this Avengers Initiative procedure was used to resurrect Coulson is that he technically is an Avenger, and now he's the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was kind of like, I was speechless. I was a mess that day. It was a really fun day to have someone of Sam's caliber show up and just nail it in that episode, and kind of, it's just moving. I honestly, as an actor, I've never gotten to play somebody this long, this much. And the days when there would be terrible news for Coulson, the producer started to realize, it's a mess. Today, I have trouble. There's a membrane that's getting thinner and thinner between us.
So are you tired of hearing Hail Hydra yet?
No, I never get tired of it. It's great.
Where does that dynamic go from here? You know, between the two of you, obviously there's a problem brewing.
Potentially. Where does it go from here? That's an interesting question that I hope season 2 will explore further. I don't know what to say.
Let me ask, what were your feelings when you found out about your shift in perspective?
I mean, as I said on the panel, I originally thought I was going to be fired. So for the first 15 minutes, I was just happy that I was still on the show. But it's this great opportunity, 17 episodes in, to essentially play another part. So I was like, I'm going to make the most of this. And then Bill Paxton was cast after that. I was like, God, this is just a dream come true.
Love Bill.
Yeah. Oh.
He's the best.
Yes, he brought it.
But I imagine it was,
it.
you know, difficult. When you play a character, you get so. They're like your friend in a weird way. You know, I'll go shopping and I'm like, Skye would love that, and my friends think I'm insane. But when you finding out that you're bad when you're not a Nazi murderer, it must be. It's kind of a hard thing to accept, I imagine. But you did it beautifully.
It was. I think what it, as you said earlier, which was very smart, it added a lot of depth and mystery and danger to a character that on the surface was, only a couple of notes. So
that was definitely a complaint. You hear people like, "Oh, Ward, he's just whatever." And
yes,
there was.
But I find this out afterwards.
But it was.
They're like, we love him now. Gosh, he was such a square.
But
before.
people were kind of giving the show a hard time about that, and they didn't. The people running our show, Josh, Jen, Marissa, Jeph, and Jeph, they're geniuses. They know what they're doing, and they had this plan the whole time. And they're going to bring up the stops for season 2 for sure.
I think they're all in a position now that everything's been burned to the ground, so you can kind of, we hope that we're the phoenix rising from the fire and that we can be strong and kind of, because we started season 1 both quite naive and a little bit kind of skittish, and the stakes weren't as high, whereas now we've been through so much. So I think individually they're probably going to grow a lot more as characters, maybe less in a unit. I'd like to see them alive.
Yeah.
It'd be good if they were alive.
That's kind of the main thing, yeah. Just staying alive from episode to episode is kind of the biggest thing right now. Because we're literally turning pages, just being like,
are we still there?
Yeah.
How do you keep the excitement of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. up when the movie characters are not crossing over? Those seem to be those sort of big wow moments.
Well, that's not to say that that can't continue to happen, but certainly, go ahead.
No, I would say it didn't really affect. It wasn't like more people tuned in when Fury was there than other times, or when Kobe was as Agent Hill. We love having them, and we love. I think diehard fans like to see crossover, that the whole universe is connected, and so we like it for that reason. But nobody would be happy if we brought them in and didn't have a cool story for them. And so if we have a cool idea for a story for Lady Sif or Agent Hill or whoever, assistant director, former Lady Hill, we'll talk to the movie people and see if we can make it happen, or they've actually pitched stuff to us as well, which is fun to sort of make the puzzle really big. And now that they're doing Agent Carter as well,
we have a very extraordinary situation, which is, now we have 2 television series in order to talk about this canvas that is the Marvel television universe, and in its own unique way, we left last season with Director Coulson being given a directive, which is make it work. Take S.H.I.E.L.D. and rebuild it into something. What will it become? What will each of our characters become? At the same time, what Carter is going to enable us to do is to go back to the beginnings, to see why it was necessary to have a S.H.I.E.L.D. in the first place. And so it's a really interesting way of bouncing back and forth in 2 completely different shows that can echo each other in terms of thematically where they're going, but at the end of the day, all that really matters is, do we care about the people, and are you going to be invested in them? And one of the things that I don't think the show gets enough credit for is that, when you stop and you think about it, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did not have the benefit of 50 or 75 years of characters that are running around. What they had the benefit of was an extraordinarily talented Gregg, who came to us from Iron Man 1, and then 5 brand new characters that we had to make sure that people cared about. And the fact that people are still talking about what happened to Ward and are curious about what is happening to Fitzsimmons and who is that mysterious man that wants to know about Skye, that means they did it. You're in. And that's fantastic. That we're able to build the Marvel Universe out that much further and have people care about these people is very, very exciting.
He went from a guy who was having a lot of secrets kept from him last season in a way that made him suddenly hate secrets, though he'd been keeping them his whole adult professional life, and didn't feel comfortable keeping them from the people he cared about in his own team, to the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. has no choice but to keep secrets, or he's going to cost people their lives. The job he's got is bigger than any personal loyalties, so it'd be very interesting to me to see how much of that kind of bigger-hearted Coulson, who came back to life, is allowed to function within that job, because the job he's got, putting back together an outlawed organization that everyone wants to annihilate, indict, arrest, with very small resources, is a formidable task. And I think what's exciting about it is it's going to be brass knuckles, old school, like Cold War era espionage, and the people he's come to trust, Agent Skye, Agent May, Fitz and Simmons, are really going to be challenged. And there's going to be new agents. We just learned about Lucy Lawless, who's such a badass, coming to our team. And I just heard the words Mockingbird, and I don't even know what to say about that.